when I originally went into college, I was going to do fantasy and science fiction illustration.
Oh, yeah.
And I was fully set to go into that industry. But then I kind of took a hard turn at the nature stuff when I realized that I felt like that was my particular way of like giving back and feeling like there was like a lifelong purpose in my work.
Hello, plant people. Hello, my herbal friends, and welcome to another edition of Everything You Did Not Know About Herbalism here on Herbal Radio, brought to you, of course, by Mountain Rose Herbs. I am your host, Tommy Navarre. I am so excited right now because we are bringing back the video portion of Herbal Radio. So we will have these videos on our YouTube channel at mountainroseherbs.com/YouTube. Is that correct? I don't know. Is that what it is?
No, that is not correct. The real URL is youtube.com/mountainroseherbs.
Anyway, I don't know. Go to YouTube, search Mountain Rose Herbs. You'll find it. I'm sure it's going to be there. It's going to be amazing. So my guest today is Emily Poole. And Emily Poole is incredibly talented natural illustrator. And I finally felt like I could talk a little bit more. I mean, normally I have herbalists on and everyone knows I am not an herbalist, but I get to interview herbalists, which is amazing. And I get to learn so much from them. But I do know a little bit about art. And so I was able to have a really amazing conversation with Emily. Emily is incredible. She is so talented, and I was so excited just, to hang out with her. And this is just a fantastic way to kick off the new visual part of our Herbal Radio. And of course, if you only want to listen to it, it's always available as just a podcast. But anyway, I hope you love it. I did. And this is me talking with Emily. Obviously, I have a lot of herbalists on, a lot of scientists, people like that, and that are a little bit, maybe not even a little bit, way above, what I know. So I'm like, I try to just ask the right questions, but I'm like, it's art. I think I might be able to, I feel a little more comfortable in this area. So I'm excited. I'm really happy that you're on. And we obviously love your work. It's tremendous. So,
well, thank you so much.
Yeah. So, and you're based here in Eugene, right?
Yep. Based in Eugene.
Born and raised?
Born and raised in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, actually.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's why nature is, second nature to you, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Growing up in the gateway to Grand Teton and Yellowstone National Parks, I was just like completely immersed in it, let's go for an afternoon hike in the Tetons. But it's funny because I wasn't really like when it's all you aren't like fully grateful for it. You don't fully understand how lucky you are.
Right. Of course. So were you drawing at a young age?
Yeah, for sure. I always did love drawing. That was my favorite thing to do. And I was lucky enough to have folks around me that kind of fostered that and encouraged that.
Yeah. In what ways? What ways were they encouraging it?
Just always kind of providing opportunities for me to get deep into drawing and also like I did field journaling classes at the Teton Science School when I was in elementary school.
Really?
I had some really great teachers from a really young age that helped foster that creativity. My elementary school was right next to the local raptor center, so they'd bring in like live owls for us to draw in our third grade class.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you still have some of the work?
I do. Yeah, my dad saved a bunch of it.
Oh, I love that. You get to look back on it. That's such a progression. Just see what you were doing at that age. And it's amazing because you're still drawing owls.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
That raptor connection really stayed with me.
So did you continue with art classes? Did you go to art school?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I wanted to be a scientist for a while. I was really obsessed with ants, so I wanted to be an entomologist actually.
Oh, like Wilson, Edward Wilson, right?
Yeah, Wilson.
Yeah.
I loved his book. And
It's tremendous. Tremendous. I've watched, or I've read his book or several, I believe, of his books. And then there was a great documentary I think the BBC did.
yeah.
And it was just the guy was incredible. Just what
Hmm.
an amazing mind.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to be an entomologist and I wanted to be a scientist, but I'm not very math inclined, and I found out
Hmm.
just how much um, hard
Stats, right?
science is part of science.
How to get that bell curve, or right? How to like figure all that out. Yeah. My wife is a scientist, and she sits, I watch her sometimes, we're working together and she's doing the math, and it is just complete gibberish to me. I'm looking over at
Mhm.
it like, what is that? How do you take those numbers and get anything? I don't. It's a foreign language, so I understand.
Mhm.
You wanted to be a scientist, but then you also obviously wanted to draw, and yet now I feel like your work is science based, correct?
Yeah, so I went to Rhode Island School of Design in Providence,
Oh,
and,
fantastic school.
yeah, yeah, it was a great experience, and it was interesting going from this world where I had been immersed in nature and wasn't really as appreciative of it
Hmm.
as I could have been. I mean, I was, but then going to live in the city on the East Coast
Yeah.
where, as a student without a car, I had no access to the outdoors pretty much.
Right.
And I started to realize just how much of my identity was rooted in nature and relationships with other species. So I started to lean much more into the nature art angle while I was at school and really missing those wild spaces.
Yeah.
And I got involved with an organization called Creature Conserve, which is about fostering connection between artists and scientists and sort of promoting the role of artists as like accessible communicators of science concepts.
Hmm.
And I took some travel courses with them that really opened my eyes to the job I could do as an artist to raise awareness of nature concepts in an engaging way.
Yeah.
So that kind of set me on the path.
Yeah. And obviously you were taking a lot of classes in fine arts as well.
Yeah, I had an illustration degree,
No,
so
nice.
a lot of it was like the foundational art skills courses, of course, but a lot of the illustration degree program is about like art as communication and art as a tool,
Hmm.
um, more so than fine art as like self expression.
Hmm.
Illustration is a little bit more utilitarian in principle as far as
Sure.
like you will be working for clients to realize a particular vision and that sort of thing.
Oh, interesting. Do you find yourself wanting to do more self-expression though? Is that something that you lean into a little bit?
It flip-flops a little bit
Well, you have a
because
certain look. I mean, I see your work and I know your work. And I've always thought that's when you know an artist has arrived, right? Is when you can recognize their work. You can pick that, signal in the noise, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like that's for your work, it's so recognizable. Like I can see it. I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I'm out and
yeah.
about." I'm like, "Oh, that's Emily's work. I know that work." Yeah. So,
Yeah. It's a balance, right? Because work for me, working on the jobs that interest me, and I do a lot of personal work as well just for myself about
mhm,
things that interest me,
mhm,
but working on collaborations with people who have similar interests and similar principles and want to learn about and share the same things as I do
mhm.
is kind of the self-expression for me in a way. Um,
Yeah.
like working for doing the posters for the Mount Pisgah Wildflower Festival here
Right.
in Eugene.
Right.
That's the kind of work I would be doing anyway, but
Sure.
it's to promote a particular event that raises awareness about all these cool things, so it's sort of the best of both worlds.
And are they giving you a lot of autonomy when it comes to those posters?
Yeah, they give me a good amount of freedom. They pick the species that they want me to depict, and then I kind of take it from there as far as creating the
Right.
image.
Right. And I noticed like with your images, you really like bringing in other. It's not just a focus on that one particular, let's say mushroom, like you're trying to draw a particular mushroom, but you're bringing in a
Mhm.
lot of the forest creatures, a lot of the plants that surround that, almost all these
Yeah.
accent pieces that surround that main topic, correct?
Yeah, I really the interconnectedness of everything in the
Yeah.
environment is something
Yeah.
that I focus on a lot,
Yeah.
and I really like depicting relationships between species.
Hmm.
I used to paint a lot more species just on their own, and then the more I delved into the ecosystem here in Oregon and the more I learned about the ways that these species depend on each other or
Hmm.
interact in really interesting ways, I started creating groupings more or like a few ambassadors of a particular biome that kind of go together.
Oh, sure. Sure.
It's just a more interesting thing for me to talk about than like isolating just a plant.
Hmm. So with your work though, uh, are you saying that if you're working on a particular plan and you do it more than once, you're still going to see those sort of same elements, those surrounding elements around that particular plant?
Well, not necessarily because every species has a lot of different relationships.
Sure, sure.
Um, so
I
I
was I
guess
was
it
just
depends on
curious on
what.
how you chose. There's several, and there's several of your art pieces that I see, and you have such unique plants around the plant that you're focused on. And I'm
Mhm.
always like curious on how you, and I'm not even talking about the whimsical stuff that you do, which is just absolutely amazing. I mean, that stuff is incredible, but it's
Thank
more
you.
of the real. I don't know if we want to call it realism, but we'll just say realism in the sake of giving it a name. But you have very interesting. I would think, oh, I wouldn't think to put that little animal or a frog with this plant, that sort of thing. But I think your take on
Mhm.
the what I'm going to call the accent plants or the accent pieces are really, they're so interesting, and I find myself more um looking for all of those, like looking for the secrets within your work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There are some ways I set it up where, oh, these 2 things live in the same environment, so
Hmm.
they're going together, but sometimes it's a little bit more of a like, I have a painting of a rough-skinned newt with amanita mushrooms and poison oak, and the theme of that painting is toxicity. And those species do
Yes.
also live in the same environment, but the reason I put them together is because they all have certain levels of toxicity.
Right, right. I just think that with art sometimes we can kind of, it's not fortuitous, right? Like we sometimes getting that understanding that the artist is really thinking about what they're doing, and your work is a particular example of that. Like when you really start looking at your work and really kind of have an understanding of the amount of time that you're putting into and the thoughtfulness that you're putting into your pieces, it's really quite impressive.
Oh, thank you. That to me, that's sort of the purpose. I really want to feel like my art is doing a job of education and getting people curious and reflecting the curiosity that I have when I go outside.
Hmm.
So, having sort of layers of connections and layers of meanings in my work is a way that I feel like I'm communicating to all kinds of audiences.
Hmm. Hmm.
"Oh, here's a pretty thing," and then a scientist looks at it and says, "Oh, I see the connection between those." Like, it has different
Right.
levels of depth for different viewers, but it
Yeah.
engages everyone. That's kind of the goal.
So obviously, educational art has been around for a very long time, and probably some would say that maybe the first art was educational in the way that even the cave paintings. Uh, Although I recently read a very interesting theory that the first cave paintings. This was a theory that they were there to just entice the female or the male of the someone of the opposite sex, but or whoever you were wanting to date at the time, whatever. I'm getting myself in trouble here, but it was there to see what I can do. Look at this. I'm going to bring you down into this cave with this light, and it's going to be this beautiful setting, and you're going to have this picture. Oh, this is what I can do, kind of a
I
thing. And I
think
was like,
that would
oh,
work
that's,
on me.
yeah. And I'm like, well, that's really interesting. My wife, who's an anthropologist, she always says it kind of always comes down to food and sex. All of our motives are based around food and sex, and if you break it down to the simplest form. So I was like, oh, that makes sense. But back to looking at like a lot of the first artwork, showing the hunts, like the scenes of the hunts, and people thinking, or the scientists, or whoever's looking at it, the archaeologists thinking, well, this is a way for them to show how to hunt. This is the best
Mhm.
technique. We're going to show it, be able to, that's an easy way to do it. And I'm thinking, well, that's, educational art. And that's continued
Yeah.
even to what you're doing now.
Yeah, for sure. I think constantly about, like, botanical artists in the Victorian era is something
Mm-hmm.
I think about a lot,
Yeah, exactly.
where there were artists that were trying to understand species from all over the globe, but the ways that they were getting their information about plants was, like, third second or third hand,
Mm-hmm.
like, dried specimens, months old, brought back on a ship from somewhere, and they had to try to interpret what the plant looked like when it was fresh, or even, like, I remember reading somewhere about, artists that would go down to, like, the dockyards and just ask sailors to describe plants and animals to them, and then
Yeah.
do a drawing
Yeah.
as best they could based on, like, a verbal description of a sailor who definitely exaggerated stuff.
Right. Imagine that scene where they're like, does it look like this? And you turn it around, like, is that even
Yeah, like a
close?
police artist.
Right. Yeah. So that brings me to, so when you're doing it, so when you're out there, are you going into nature and doing these drawings, or are you using photo references, or both?
It's a mix of both.
Mm-hmm.
I keep a field journal, which I work on site from the things right in front of me, and that's more of like a sort of personal exploration, personal note taking. I my field journal is kind of a different art form, and then in the studio, I work mostly from photo references, sometimes from specimens if it's something that's like responsible to take and easy
Mm-hmm.
to have with me. Like I'm working on a Douglas fir cone. Oh, there's a Douglas fir in my yard. I'll go grab a cone.
Right.
Um, but yeah, usually it's a combination of live reference and photo reference.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, obviously, especially with, I imagine mushrooms aren't around for very long.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to be like really ready for that.
Mhm.
But so what were some of your inspiration? Who was some inspirational artists for you?
Oh gosh.
I know it's a good question, isn't it? It's like the hardest question for an artist to answer, I think. There's like, wow.
It's a good question, and it's a tough one because I'm really bad at remembering names off the top of my head.
Me too. Me too. It's I hate the on the spot about named questions. I don't know.
And it's like being asked my favorite book. Oh, no.
Right. Right.
I probably have to name John Near Laws.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of the father of nature journaling
Mm-hmm.
and, does gorgeous, amazing work. Also, Robin Lee Carlson.
Oh,
I
I'm not familiar with Robin.
Yeah, also kind of in the nature journaling field,
Uh-huh.
Also a writer. I've kind of been focusing on these artists that, do this nature journaling and writing at the same time
Mm-hmm.
right now because 'cause I'm working on writing and illustrating my own book for the first time.
Oh.
So, I'm kind of focused on, like, text and image interaction at the moment, so those field journals are my favorite thing to look at the moment.
And so you're in your own field journal. Is this what you're gonna be the work the the basis for this work?
Parts of it, yeah.
Yeah. That's great. And I can't wait. How long?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put pressure on you. When is it gonna be out?
It's gonna be fall of 2026.
Fantastic. And is it
Details to come.
Pacific North? Can I ask if it's Pacific Northwest based, or is it going to be?
Yeah, it's, basically a seasonal guide to, the different bioregions of the Pacific Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
So I've split it into 4 different bioregions and then going through each one of those throughout the seasons and spotlighting species that are doing interesting things at different times during the year.
Yeah.
Because one of my frustrations with field guides a lot of the time is that there's no, like, temporal context, like,
Mm.
when is that blooming? Or like, okay, that bird's like, when is that bird breeding? Or when is that bird migrating through? It's just there in the
Right.
book, but when do I see it? And exactly where within the Pacific Northwest, because this is a really diverse area.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We
And
have desert and we have rainforest, and
right. And a lot of it as well,
yeah.
which makes it even more difficult. Especially when you think about some of these species are in very isolated pockets,
Mhm.
and trying to find them or trying to, be able to go out and have that connection with them. It's important to know everything that you can about them before you try to do that, because I can imagine some really frustrating days of searching and not, you know,
Yep,
right.
definitely.
Yeah. What's some of your favorite places to go to just sketch, to just,
Um, Gosh, I love, the Metolius River by
ah,
Camp
yeah,
Sherman.
yeah.
That's such an interesting ecosystem because it's kind of an ecotone between that drier
Hmm.
east side of Cascades Forest and the start of the high desert, and there's a lot of
Yes.
interesting stuff in there.
Yeah, I agree. That's an amazing river.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mount Hood, the mountains as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Mount Hood, really anywhere along the Cascades, I love to go out. I also spend a lot of time on the coast.
Hmm.
Yeah. We just have so much cool ecology here.
Oregon has everything. It really is just tremendous.
It
It's
really does.
like if you want to be outdoors, this is. Oh, if you're okay with rain, right? You got to be okay with it
Yeah.
getting rained on here and there. But other than that, it's just tremendous.
Mhm.
So, I want to ask you, do you have some tips for those listening that are wanting to just go out, like you said, and have this sketchbook, but maybe they're not particularly gifted as far as being able to draw, but they just want to do it. Do you have any?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's, like, the best position to be in. I
Oh, I like
I
that.
really think yeah. Like, curiosity and a willingness to, like, pay deep attention to the world are, I think, kind of the root of creativity,
Hmm.
and I don't think you can be an artist without those things, but I think anyone who has those things can be an artist. It's really not about technical skill, it's about your interest,
Uh-huh.
and seeing connections, noticing details, asking a lot of questions
Hmm.
about the world around you, are the things that you bring to a field sketchbook. And as far as like draftsmanship, like technical skill, I've taught some classes on field journaling where students have said, "Well, I can't draw it right. I don't
Hmm.
have the skill to draw it right." And what I always say is you don't have to. You can fill that in with writing if you want and just take notes about what you're seeing.
Mm.
You can sort of draw what the plant looks like as well as you can, and then you can add in notes. Oh, it has serrated leaves that are opposite to one another. The texture of the leaves has fine hairs on it. You
Hmm.
can just add notes in around what you've drawn to
Hmm.
clarify the things that you don't feel like you're ready to draw yet.
Right.
And sometimes as you're paying attention to those details and thinking about them and writing them down, your drawing might improve drastically now that you're pinpointing
Mm.
those identifying features,
Yeah.
and really thinking about them.
Right. Well, that's a great way. And it sounds like it's also just practice too, right? And that helps
Yeah,
you with that, right? You're obviously
yeah,
going to
for
get
sure.
better through practice. And you can just always tell people that it's abstract. It's abstract expressionism, you know.
I I think this is kind of a controversial opinion for some reason, but I do not believe in inherent artistic talent.
Mm.
I think anyone who is interested enough to continue practicing and care about the work can become good at it.
Absolutely. I
As
agree
far
with
as
that.
technical skill, I don't think there's a barrier of like, she was born with talent. I think it's she was born with curiosity
Hmm.
and pursued it.
Right. Born with passion, maybe,
Yeah.
right? But
Mhm.
yeah, the talent part, exactly. I always think about, um, although maybe not the best person to quote, not the best person in life, but Pete Rose always said that he was 90% determination and 10% talent, in his career. And I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, that makes sense. I mean, that's it. Like he just wanted to play baseball, like more
Mhm.
than anything in the world, and it was never going to let anyone stand in his way.
Yeah.
And look what he was able to accomplish. Again, on the field, not off the field. Well, not the best person. But I think that's a great example of just having determination and not
Mhm.
caring at all about failing, right?
Mhm.
I mean, how many, you got to be, I want an honest answer. How many times have you just been like, well, psh, rip that out and toss it? That didn't work, like how many,
Oh,
maybe not so much now because you're
quite a
probably,
lot.
yeah, quite a lot. Okay. Okay.
It still happens.
Right.
There's, a funny disconnect between this amazing image that you picture in your head and what actually comes out on the page, and you think, "Oh, that's not what I had in my
Hmm.
head. Why
I,
isn't my hand working?"
well, it's funny. I had a teacher in college who studied with Ansel Adams, and I asked him once a snarky kid, and it was just like, well, what's the secret to taking a good photograph? And he was just like, take 10,000 photographs and then pick one.
Yep.
You're going to get one out of that 10,000. That's amazing. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yep.
So, so I was
And
like,
part of that's the journal end for me,
yeah,
is that free, okay, I'm just gonna experiment, I'm just gonna go. This doesn't have to be something that I turn into a client or something that I'm gonna try and sell. It's just a safe space
how,
to
how liberating is
venture
that
out.
for you?
Sorry, what?
How liberating is that for you?
It's really nice.
Yeah.
When you do what you love for your job, it can really kind of pin you in a box sometimes
Yeah.
because it feels like, oh, everything I make has to have a purpose. It has
Mm-hmm.
to have a role in my
Mm-hmm.
job and my income, honestly, practically speaking.
Right.
So experimenting and playing around and doing things outside of that box actually becomes really difficult to
Yeah.
make time and headspace
Mm-hmm.
for. So having a field journal that's not meant to be that way is a really important outlet for me, actually.
Right. Well, it took me a long time to figure out that there was no wasted time. As long as I was, as long as I was
Yeah.
doing something I was, trying to make some sort of progress, that there wasn't a waste of time, because I would give myself before, I don't know, there was this internal clock that was always ticking, and any day that would go by where I failed, or it just wasn't, it felt like such a waste of time. Like,
Mhm.
oh no, well, there went a whole day, went 24 hours off my ticking clock, right? Then I
Yeah.
didn't, accomplish what I had in my head that I was going to accomplish. And then it took me a long time to realize, oh, no, no, no. All of those days were so important, because I
Mhm.
learned basically what not to do. And I'm also, at least I'm working, at least I'm pushing toward that goal that I have in my head. And then I was like, oh, okay, so this is very important. And then also those days when I didn't do anything at all are so important. Those days of just reset, like,
Mhm.
you're going to fill your
Yeah.
whole day in of watching, reruns of MASH or Cheers or something. I'm very old, by the way. You can kind of tell with that references, but, that's fine. That's what you need in life. You need to have, your brain needs to take a break.
Yeah, it took me a long time to realize that if I need to spend a day sitting on the porch just sort of staring out at the world and a day painting, I spent 2 days on that painting. Both of those days were spent on that
Yes.
painting. One of
Yeah.
them was active work, but one of them was just in-brain processing time.
Right. Right. So how about, I want to talk about your whimsical work a little bit, because
Sure.
where does this come from? They're so amazing. I understand, like, the whole idea of trying to recapture, and you do so well with just nature, what you're seeing in nature. But obviously with your whimsical work, this is not what you're seeing in nature. You're being so playful. And where does that playfulness come from?
Yeah, it's, to me, it's like it's what I'm seeing in nature, but amplified a little bit.
Hmm.
Like, it has its roots in the natural history of a particular place,
Hmm.
and then I sort of imagine from there. So I build this framework of, like, these are the species that I'm noticing in this place that are interesting to me, and then sort of frog and toading it and adding a level of whimsy, and what if these species interacted in this kind of that's always been an aspect of the work that I've done. I actually wanted when I originally went into college, I was going to do fantasy and science fiction illustration.
Oh yeah.
And I was fully set to go into that industry.
Uh-huh.
But then I kind of took a hard turn at the nature stuff
Mhm.
when I realized that I felt like that was my particular way of like giving back, and feeling like there was like a lifelong purpose in my work that I wasn't feeling for myself personally in the fantasy and sci-fi realm, but that's always been an interest and a love of mine, so I think it just bleeds through.
Right, right. A lot of your work reminds me of some of the rock posters, that type of
Oh, yeah.
illustration. I feel like Pearl Jam always
Mhm,
has such interesting illustrations for their posters, and I could see some of your work, especially when they play in the Pacific Northwest, if they come to
mhm.
Portland or they even come to Eugene or something like that. What your poster would be perfect for that type of illustration. Like that type
Well,
of
thank you.
illustration.
I
Have you ever been approached by any music groups for doing posters?
um, not just for music events, like
Yeah.
for larger festivals I've done work for,
Okay, well, all
and
right, Eddie Vedder.
I had
I
a
know
book of,
I
like,
know Eddie
fan
Vedder's
posters.
listening right now. So Eddie, Emily here in Eugene would love to do a poster for you. So please reach out.
Yeah, I had a book of Fillmore posters when I was a kid that I
Oh
would
yeah,
page through for hours on end, so that
yeah.
definitely that and, like, even, like, the sort of J.C. Leyendecker
Mm-hmm.
school of, like,
Mm-hmm.
decorative
Mm-hmm.
elements
Yeah.
definitely bleeds through, or Ivan Bilibin
Uh huh.
is a big one for me.
Right.
Um, I did always love that, and, like, one of my very first jobs was, an event poster for a music festival in my town, so
Well, we have the Free Herbalism project coming up, and it's going to be in Seattle this year. This might be
oh,
the
cool.
first announcing of that. I'm not sure if we've even talked about it, but we're going to have it at Bastyr University, or at least we're hoping so. We're 95% of the way there right now, so I'll give myself an out in case everything falls through. But it would be really amazing if you could maybe do a poster for that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Oh, how fun would that be? I
That would
love
be
this
really
idea.
fun.
Yeah, and in that sort of rock and roll Pearl Jam, these kind of that style of poster, but it's the free
Mhm.
herbalism, and it would work so well for Seattle area because we'll put the posters up around town, and yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, all right, all
Like,
right.
that plus plants, that's the best of both worlds
I'm
for me.
loving this. I am. This could be a really fun. Yeah. So what's on? So you're writing the book. Anything else on the horizon?
That's my main focus for quite a while.
Hmm.
I'm working on that, and then I'm also working on this is kind of a double feature book project. I'm working on a book about Pacific Northwest salamanders with a
Ooh.
herpetologist friend, and we've been going on salamander outings for since 2020, actually.
Hmm.
We've been doing salamander research together to get ready for this book that's gonna be sort of an artistic field guide, natural history of our salamander species here in the Northwest.
Oh, I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
you go. I know myself when I'm out, I see so many salamanders and have no idea what I'm looking at. But they're so amazing. They're just like these incredible little creatures, and I
They
feel like
really
there's a
are.
lot of varieties here in the Pacific Northwest. I'm not exactly sure, but
Yes, we have a lot I'm gonna say the wrong number, and then Tom, my co-author, is gonna be mad at me, but I think we have, like, 15 plus
wow.
salamanders
Okay.
here,
Okay.
maybe more than that? We're featuring 10 in the book. But, yeah, we have a lot of varieties, they all have really different things going on, and, they're just so fun
Yeah.
to look for.
Yeah. One final thing I'd love to talk just a little bit about. I know there's going to be some listeners to this who are maybe trying to break into this world a little, the art world or the illustration world, and would love some ideas of maybe how you did it, and some recommendations for them.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to build a consistent portfolio of the kind of work you want to do.
Hmm.
You were saying earlier that when you see my work, you know it's mine.
Hmm.
So kind of creating like a consistent visual style that people can sort of expect from you,
Hmm.
and then creating work that you'd be excited about making. Like if you want to do book covers, make mock-up book covers
Hmm.
for books that exist or don't exist.
It's something
as
that's
examples of the kind of work you do.
that's
Yeah.
amazing because I always give that out to people who like want to work in design, right?
Mhm.
And I'm just like, design book covers because
Yeah.
there's so many out there, and just whatever your favorite book cover is, and you had that connection with that book, design that book cover, like put one
Mhm.
together. It doesn't have to be real, you know. So that's interesting. It's the same thing with in your world of illustration. It's like that same, just design a book cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and then, reach out to the organizations that you're interested in working with and get on their radar. I showed up to all the Mount Pisgah festivals and
Right.
sent out my portfolio to the outdoors publishers that
Mhm.
I was excited about working with, and, just let people know you exist.
Sounds like you have to be vulnerable a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a tough one for a lot of people,
Yep.
which is good. It's a good thing to kind of work through, is that vulnerability.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because knowing that for myself, knowing that it's not everybody's cup of tea, right? And that's okay. You know,
Mhm.
that's okay. If you don't, I always feel like that if I can just strike an emotion in someone, I don't care what it is, love it, hate it, doesn't
Mhm.
matter. I've done my job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, be memorable and find
Yeah.
your niche.
Right. Right. Create a memory. That's all we're here for
Mhm.
anyway, I think. So great. Well, this was so much fun. I was so excited about this talk. Um,
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been great.
yeah, yeah. Obviously, I'm a huge fan, and
Thank you.
um, love to work on some stuff together. That would be really really fun.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah,
Yeah, stay in touch on that.
I definitely
Keep me
will.
posted.
Okay. Well, you have a wonderful day, and thank you again for being on.
Yeah, thank you so much. You
Okay.
too.
All right. Bye bye. Okay. That was amazing, right? She's incredible. I love that. I learned so much. So kudos to her. Thank you so much for coming on. Phenomenal. And now the big surprise. Okay, here's what we're going to do. At the end of every show, I'm going to have a little herbal trivia for you. If you know what it is, email us at podcast@mountainroseherbs.com and we will choose randomly a winner out of the correct answer, and you will get 25% off your next order with Mountain Rose. Okay? This is really fun. This is going to be awesome. Here we go. This is the herbal trivia. When I was young, I dug a certain root that my uncle told me what to look for, but I had no idea what it was. It's a famous Appalachian root, something that's a lot of people they dig for money. It has amazing medicinal qualities. So what was that root? And if you know the answer, again, podcast@mountainroseherbs.com. Let us know. We choose you. You're going to get 25% off your next order. And again, thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you again very, very soon. Okay, bye-bye.